My name's Anthony and I'm an alcoholic. If I'm too loud, let me know.
Not loud enough.
Not loud enough, all right. Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Wow. Your fella here said, I've never sat in front of 50, 70 people before. Jesus, neither have I. But yeah. So tonight I'm 57 years old. I've been drinking since I was 13. I've had 2 stints in AA. First one was 20 years ago when I was like 29, 30. And the second one was a year ago, day after tomorrow. So about a year.
Right on.
I want to share my, I was thinking about, what it's like, what happened, what it's like now. I've sat in front of so many speakers and I just fall asleep. But I want to approach it with experience, strength and hope. And within the experiences, what happened, what it was like, and what it's like now. I mean, what it was like, it was fucking great, right? It was brilliant. I mean, I love drinking. I'm sure a lot of you did. I don't know if all of you did, but it was just party time. It was, it put me on the map. It gave me recognition. I was just like a nobody, right, when I was a kid. I just blended into the background. But I was really good at drinking. And, I come from England, I come from London, the pub scene, right? I don't know if you're really familiar with it, but it's like an extension of your living room. It's part of the community, right? You've got all the old fellas doing the bookie stuff during the week, going across the road to the bookies, sitting down having a few pints, and I used to run across the road for them and put their bets on and get a free pint if they won, because I never had any money. My parents, I should add, were total alcoholics. My dad was a pisshead, just down the pub every single day of my life, right? Drunk every single day of my life, and I just thought that was normal, right? Can't leave the house at 7 in the morning, come home at 11 at night, shit-faced. My mum, she was drunk as well, but she just had the bottle under the sink. 2 drinks and she was a monster, right? But I thought that was normal, right? I just thought that was normal. But, the pub, you want to get in the pub, right? You're coming of age. And I started work at 15 years old. Sure, I did all the, buying the stuff down the off license and drinking the booze on the common and all that sort of stuff. But, 15 years old, I was earning a wage and I earned the right to belly up to the bar with all the other fellas, right? They all look like you. And I stood there and, it was like, I fucking earned my pint tonight, I worked all week and I did that from 15 to 18. And I was down in 5-10 pints a night. And, back then at that age, your metabolism was like a fucking furnace. It just burns it. I was able to get up in the morning. I wasn't an alcoholic. I didn't have a drink problem. I could get up and go to work. You might call that a functioning alcoholic, but I wasn't. I was just, my metabolism was burning it. How much money have I got? I've got enough for 4 pints. I used to count my worth in the amount of beer that I could buy. By the time, 17, I took off to Australia for a year. For one reason or another, totally different drinking culture, totally different scene. But, I was with my uncle, another total pisshead, killed himself 5 years later, sat in the car with a bottle of whiskey, stuck the tube through, 2 beautiful kids, fucking under 10 years old, the most gorgeous wife you've ever seen, and he decided to kill himself, right? So all that about, right? Anyway, I came back and realised there was a big old world out there, and I took off to Amsterdam. That was a great idea. 5 years I lived in Amsterdam. I did 7 years in Europe. I did a year in Barcelona, in Spain, and bummed around France, Saint-Tropez, drinking my way through Europe.
Perfect.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Taking drugs, dealing drugs, nearly getting killed left, right, and centre. By the time I was 27, I realised I had a relationship with alcohol. That's how I coined it. I had a relationship with alcohol. So, you know, what happened, right? I came to America. That's what happened. Because then I got in a car, and within the space of 6 months, I had 2 back-to-back DUIs, and I'd nearly driven over, I nearly drove over a family of 5 people one day. And so I got introduced to AA, and I was court-ordered. And I remember the guy said to me in the driving class, right, aside from going to the AA, you have to go to the class, and he just walked up to me, and he did this to everybody, but he just said, what was he said? He goes, one off or bound to happen. And I was like, I think it was bound to happen. You know, the penny dropped a little bit. Because there was no way I was an alcoholic. I mean, I'm Anthony Mallett, for fuck's sake. Don't you know who I think I am? Right? It's like, straight up. Took me 7 years. And I read this from chapter 3. This is the line. It's just the first sentence. I couldn't get past the first sentence. Most of us have been unwilling to admit that we were real alcoholics. Took me 7 years to admit that. And, you know, I in the end, you know, I used to, you know, as you get older again, you become more accountable. Society expects more of you. The police certainly treat it differently. Well, they do here anyway. And, you know, I ended up with 13 misdemeanors that I pled down over a large number of arrests. I mean, that should have been a felony right there anyway. And then it culminated when I was 34. You know, I took out a taxi driver and a gas station attendant, thought I was the victim, and the DA put on my file, this guy's an a-hole. And, yeah. What the fuck do you mean? And it wasn't my fault. Anyway, luckily, I mean, the DA wanted to put me away for a year in jail. I bought a return ticket, and I had the court summons right there, and I thought, okay, what do I do in my life? Do I go back a failure, or do I go and face the music? And I decided to go and face the music. And luckily, I had 10 grand in the bank, and I gave it all to my lawyer. And luckily, he moved it from one court to another. He knew the judge, and the judge has the discretion not to accept the DA's recommendation. And that happens probably about 4% of the time, I was told. And that's what he did. He did not accept the DA's request to put me in jail for a year. He said, you're going, because he saw that all of the bullshit that I'd gotten up to was all drink related. So he put me in sober living. And I moved in, I don't know if you know Chandler Lodge in the Valley. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you weren't in prison, you were in the bed next to me, right? Basically. And I moved in there for a year. I became, you know, I got busy. I was the breakfast chef, getting up at 5 in the morning, making everyone breakfasts. They made me the weekend manager when the manager had the week off. And, you know, I ended up sitting on the board of the bloody place as the house representative on the board. And I got sober for 2 years. I got sober for a year, and I got my first sponsor, Gigolo Joe, what do you know? And big guy, massive, right? Bigger than me. Drove a Jeep with a big fucking Stars and Stripes on the front of it. And he knew I was crazy. And my ego was through the roof. I mean, I just could not be willing to admit that I was an alcoholic. I couldn't understand it. And the other thing that really killed me was that I was being told that I could not drink for the rest of my life. And I couldn't fathom that. I mean, my entire life was predicated on booze. The pubs, my mates, sex. I don't think I had sex sober until I was 30. I never fucked a woman until I was, 30, sober. And that was strange, right? But it's true, right? And So my whole life was wrapped around booze, and then I have to get it around my head that I can't drink, I can't be cured. And back then, alcoholism was a disease, or everyone was being told that it was. And as I say, I'm 57, I'm going back, 10, 20, 25 years. And I was, oh shit, that was quick. All right, fuck. All right, so anyway, second time around, what happened? A year ago. I woke up one day and I realised I was becoming my dad. I have two beautiful kids. I've got a 6 and an 8-year-old. And I'm walking around the house and I'm giving them a bath and I've got a fucking can of Bud Light in my hand. Right? Put it down, wash it, drink it, wash it. There, come and read the books, drink it. Read the books, hold on a second. And I woke up one morning, my wife was like on the verge of just literally, and she probably still is, she actually still is, on the verge of walking out. But I realised I was becoming my dad. And I went to AA the next day. And I don't know, what do you call it? Like, I have an epiphany. I'm not a book thumper, I'm not into God, but I had an epiphany. And the desire to drink was gone. And that's my strength out of the gate. I'm not joking when I say I don't really think about drinking until I come to AA. So I tell myself that's got to be a good thing. So that's the foundation where I build off of. I do not think about drinking, right? I've got some stuff down here that I'll throw out there. So the desire of drinking was removed, and that was the initial strength. And then my kids, looking at my kids, and knowing that I'm a good father, and that I'm a decent man for my children. And that I can do it differently to the way that it was done to me, right? And then, I'm working the steps. I did the 3-step back then, never got into 4. I've just done the 3rd step right now. I got myself a sponsor. I've got Tony's sponsor actually. And he puts up with me, right? Because I go at it, hammers and tongs and all the philosophy and stuff. It's like, but letting go and having faith in God, to me, the universe, right? And when shit happens, not trying to control it and just letting it go. And fuck, it works. It does. It may take a day or two to come around, but I don't waste my time stressing and freaking out about it and getting in moods and projecting onto my family or my kids or other people around me. I just say, okay, let it go. And I do it in front of my wife sometimes. I just go like that. She goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm giving it over to God, honey. I can't do it. The argument or anything like that. And then recognizing the triggers. That was what I learned back in the day as well. Recognizing the triggers. And, Tony here taught me how to push the button. Right? Recognize the triggers, push the button. As I say, I'm on step 3. I got a year into this. I don't have the you guys taking the cakes with all this. I'm in awe of what you've got and what you've done. But I'm going to get there. I know I will. I hope I do. And I call my sponsor and I chat with him, but it's not the book for me, right? It's not God, it's the tool belt. I'm a project manager in what I do, so I'm very pragmatic. And I need to see that my program is working in my life and that my life is working towards my program. And that the two are synonymous with one another and that it's working, and it is, step by step. I'm reading the book as I go through the steps. I'm learning what the book has to offer by going through the steps. I'm going into step 4. I know more now at the end of this step 3 than I did when I first started doing step 1. Ergo, I know I'm going to know more by step 7. And that will make me stronger. Right? Enjoy it, right? I do enjoy it, And sometimes I fucking hate it, right? To be quite frank, I mean, we're just human. So what do I hope, right? Well, I hope to save my fucking marriage. That's what I hope to do. And I hope to foster a career. I mean, I see some familiar faces in there from other programs, but when I came in last year, I just lost my job. I don't think anybody knew that. But, you know, I wasn't going to cry a pity part, and I got on with my life. But I couldn't have done that if I wasn't sober. I couldn't have done it if I was drunk. And so every day, right, and I'll end with this as another strength, is I wake up every single morning. I don't fall to my knees. I don't pray to God. I just lie there and well, in a sense, I thank God, when you say I thank God, but I don't have a hangover. I don't feel guilty about anything that I've done, and I don't have to fix anything that I've done because I was drunk. And what a fucking beautiful way to start a day. And I do that every day. I just because the hangovers were brutal in the end. Like 3 days of just not being able to move. And the moods and the anger and the projection onto every single person around me. Okay. But today I just wake up and it's like, wow, I can just approach the day with a blank slate. And that's the major one. And the other thing, you know, with all the sayings and all the cliches and everything, and you're the king of it, you are. But, you know, the one for me is KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. That's it, just for me. And keep it simple. If you don't pick up, you ain't going to get drunk. And thank God I had the desire to drink removed from me. I have no idea how that happened. No idea. And maybe that's God at work. I can only attribute to it to the universe. But that's what started me on the path of saving my life. And coming into this program and going to the San Marino men's meeting and now seeing this meeting is like no other fucking meeting I've ever been to in my life, and all of the meetings that I went to for 7 fucking years. I mean, 26 and Broadway is the most pretentious fucking thing you could fucking walk into, and it's enough to drive you to drink. And it did, because I chose to go out. So thank you for letting me talk to you and give you my strength, hope, and or experience strength and hope.
Oh, that's